This was just to have an excuse to not get out of bed and stay drunk, which is like the most f***ed up thing.
What do you know about your mom's family history?
As family trees go, every leaf on my mom's family tree is, I think I can pretty safely say, everyone, except for my generation, like my cousins, I don't even think dead or dying even counts anymore. I think they're all dead. I think they all died from alcoholism or suicide. Yeah, like it's f***ing crazy. My dad said at one point that, given my mom's lineage, that it could be said that for me to have children, the odds of my child being an alcoholic are like the odds of playing Russian roulette with a completely loaded weapon. There's no skip a generation, like anywhere. It's everybody.
What do you remember writing in your college essay about your mom in Little League?
I remember it said like the school bell rang at 3 p.m. The day was over, and the kid excitedly got on his bike and biked home, where he'd laid out his baseball uniform, because he was so excited about the game, and it's true. I was like, I loved that uniform, whatever it was. If it was a baseball uniform, a football uniform, that thing was like important,
Yeah.
and a game was important. And
you'd wear it when you didn't even have to. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I was like uncomfortable in my own skin, and so like there was something about wearing like that baseball uniform that made me like amount to more than like me just on my own, so it was a big deal. And I showed up all excited, and I was in third grade. I was 8 years old, and Dad was on a business trip, and Mom was passed out in bed, and I said, Mom, it's time to go to the game, need her to drive me to the game. And she just wasn't having it, she was all like super drunk and just said flat out no, and I couldn't accept that. And so I went over to the neighbor's house, and I asked the lady that lived next door across the street if she would drive me to the game, and she did.
How often would she drink to the point of being unable to function?
She was a binge drinker, and so there was episodes that would go on, like when she started drinking, like it was like a relapse, and that meant that she would, from that point forward, stay drunk for days or even weeks on end, mostly coinciding with Dad's business trips. So
why coinciding with his business trips?
If Dad was around, like that wasn't gonna fly. Mm-hmm. But when Dad was not around, so Mom would be trying to pull it together for when Dad got back, like with varying degrees of difficulty.
So when the binge drinking was going on for days or weeks on end, how did that impact you in terms of going to school or eating dinner?
Going to school, like at times became optional, particularly in high school. There was a lot of freedom, and I kind of welcomed it. But, and man, it's really like, again, I was never like mad at my mom, and I recognized fully that she was just sick, I get it. But like the extent of her sickness is pretty crazy. And here I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. But when I was 9 years old, Mom announced to the family that she was dying of lymph node cancer. And it wasn't true. This was just to have an excuse to not get out of bed and stay drunk, which is like the most f***ed up thing.
To what extent did she allow you to do drugs and alcohol?
It would vary. That was kind of a sliding scale. There were at least one or two times when, she would smoke a joint with me, but that just meant that she was really drunk, and I felt awful about, even then, like, I felt awful about that.
Oh, between your mom and then your condition starting to progress, how much do you think your dad was in denial?
Oh God, he was intense. You know, like, Dad, it was so obvious what was going on with Mom, and even with me. And Dad just had this ability to believe that, you know, to just deny it. Yeah, denial. His rose-colored glasses.
Until you and your dad were visiting colleges, and then you came back from
Correct.
visiting college, and that was,
Right.
her condition was like
Right. That was
end of the line.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah, we were gone for like a week, and we came home, and it was another level, yeah. And that was when Dad said, "Okay, I'm out of here," you know, and broke the news that he had already been with another woman, and that now he was going to move in with her. And I think Dad could have handled that, you know, in a better way. But at the same time, I never was mad at him, nor did I fault him, because the fact was that Mom's alcoholism made that marriage impossible to continue. You know, I just, like, Dad's not a bad guy because that happened. I mean, the sequence of events could have been cleaner. But again, there was no way around that being the case. They weren't going to stay together that way.